Newly proposed legislation would bar antlerless deer hunting for the next 4 years, specifically in the northern area of Wisconsin. The GOP bill getting both support and some opposition from hunters and wildlife groups.
I bet for many hunters notice a scarce deer population in some northern counties in Wisconsin. Show 5 Emily Riley spoke with both sides today and explains what this bill calls for.
Legislators spearheading this bill say they held listening sessions in different communities where hunters shared their concerns over the limited deer population in areas up north. The DNR has previously said last year's harsh winter could have been a factor causing the smaller deer population. State Representative Chance Green, a Republican from Grandview, is one of the legislators who introduced the bill earlier this month. He says it would affect 20 counties that fall in the northern forest zone, including Marinette and portions of Shawano and Oconto County, and would still permit buck hunting. The plan would also involve reviewing the Northern County Deer Advisory Councils and working with them to more effectively manage the deer population.
I want future generations to be able to enjoy the deer hunting that was once there and that could be there. We just have to implement a better plan that preserves our deer herd and hopefully bolsters them.
Tom Hauge, a retired Wisconsin DNR director, says 4 years is too long to halt doe hunting before it impacts wildlife in the forest.
Legislation or statutes they're kind of hard to put in place and they're kind of hard to remove. And so they tend to be inflexible. And one thing we know about wildlife populations is that they change quickly.
While Hauge disagrees with the 4-year legislation, he supports the development of a long-range plan for deer population management in the North Woods. Emily Riley, Action 2 News.